For plebs, by plebs, dropping the Bitcoin only signal. Pleb Underground. Welcome everyone to the Pleb Underground.
Pleb Underground, episode 35. Bitcoin is Kenny. My, how it's still alive. Apple still number one. No false prophets. iPhone are used to follow false prophets. Normies following the herd. Just a bunch of sheep. Their children never heard. Not even a peep. Call it silence of the lambs. Don't be shellfish like the clams. Ambulating rhythm, walk flow. She holds my hand when we walk slow. Mempool full. Hard to talk mo. Pleb Underground, number one talk show. To be a leader, you got to inspire. The job's never done, so we'll be hot as fire, practicing for our son. Lost on every joke you contended. None won, no pun intended. When you're evolving like me, you switch loyalty to your future self. Got to value your health, keep improving your strength. You can't get caught seeing that 700 nanometer wavelength. Run a social node to set what you expect, what's okay, what you accept, that you won't take no disrespect. Ultimately, nature drives self-protect. No one won, it's a fork in the road. More functionality with each op code. Fun times can be fleeting, too easily they flowed. All about that action, boss, always beast mode. Taking energy from the sun, the reaction endothermic. Letting off heat was fun, respiratory exothermic. Please take a seat, I'll trot to my beat, not without direction nor loose, avoiding the noose. I fought for the new, that's we, still you're watching me. Each day we fight for the new, time marches on, no chance to renew, but this is your song. Sometimes it's like I'm mourning, from early until I'm yawning, no redundancy against loss. What was the real cost? Nothing to distract me, no toy, I keep pressing to get it off my chest. Sun is shining, but still no joy, there was no second best. Pain drives revolution, frame the perspective, focus on evolution and being self-reflective, frustration self-selective, emergency or elective, my soul was beguiled, now feeling exiled. It's what built by two, what you channel through. Love isn't something you have, it's something you do. New walking steps, now ambulating, no mixed messages, no more conflating. You are always satiating, in the future we'll be celebrating. My flow is charged and current, you can call it electric. Busy building an empire, the unit is imperial, not metric. Quality over quantity, no woke token bird. Pleb Underground, bespoke spoken word.
Welcome back, everyone. Pleb Underground. Walton, that was absolutely straight fire. Straight fire, just like our amazing, awesome... I can't find all the amazing words that I want to give to our guest.
The guy that somehow was summoned in last week's rhyme turned up this week.
We're talking about
having never seen the show before.
That's right. Having never seen the show before. Rockstar Dev, thank you so much for joining us on Pleb Underground.
I mean, thank you for summoning me. I mean, it's kind of boring in hell, so I mean, this will be kind of interesting. I said I thought I brought the fire, but then I heard Walton's rhymes, and yeah, he is the rock star here. I can see, so
Rockstar
can't
Dev
wait to see what.
There's space for more than one, I think.
You know that like there always needs to be an alpha, so we're gonna battle, you and me, Walton, and we'll see how the episode turns out.
Speaking of alpha, guys, let's dive into the numbers.
Yeah, the numbers, of course, by time chain stats and time chain calendar. Phil, what do they look like this week?
At the time of this recording, the block height is 785,396. The Bitcoin fiat, actually the fiat Bitcoin exchange, $30,265. Total public lightning capacity, 5,418.38. Moscow time, 3306. Man, that number is dropping. And the chain rewrite days, 717. Guys, the numbers.
I had a thought this week about why the two, like, why do we call the one of them the fiat exchange rate and the other one the Bitcoin exchange rate? Like, why is the better one sats per dollar? And the reason why is because there are a limited amount of sats, and so you're accruing a percentage of the total amount of Bitcoin when you buy a certain number of sats for that dollar. Whereas the other side, it's not how much Bitcoin is costing in dollars. What that number really is how many dollars you get at the present time if you sell your Bitcoin, is a better way of looking at that number. And so, does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, look, perception is reality. And it actually was talking about this yesterday in a Spaces. It's very difficult to get people to switch their framing, right? Because what we have is the current system. So everybody thinks in terms of their local currency, or in some cases, the US dollar. So you have to, it takes time and it takes practice. I don't know any other way to put it. Today, on the numbers segment, I managed to bump into this website. I mean, it's not, I don't know if it's really made by a Bitcoiner, but it is statsmuse.com. And I figured I'm going to take a page out of the shitcoiner handbook, and I'm going to cherry pick a timeline and, make everybody FOMO. So here we go. The price of Bitcoin, April 14th, which is the day that we're recording this episode, but in 2019. Okay. And here you go. The high that day was $5,179. Okay. And here we are today sitting at over 30K. And that is 4 years to the day. Okay. 4 years.
Phil, it's funny you bring up 2019 because actually I tweeted saying, "Oh, I think it's a bit like 2019 again." And I said it's basically 2019 again. And now what I showed is I did some like this was done on my phone, so really really badly. Yeah. So let me show you this tweet here now, and this is with I'll provide some context. So, I said it's basically 2019 again.
That date.
Now you can see I've done some really badly drawn arrows, but the bits I'm trying to highlight is the kind of like ramp up from the kind of depth of the bull, because I think we've got the depths of the bear. Sorry, from the depths of the bear, it's ramping up. I think it's another bull trap. I don't think it just goes moon immediately. Now, ignore my line. Do I really think it's going to go down to like 20K again and then up to like a lot? Yeah, maybe. Like I don't know quite what's going on the side over here exactly. But you can see. But the line was not meant to be the thing. Now, why did I draw the line? Because I thought you want to kind of mirror the bit before, but it wasn't meant to be like TA or anything like that, right? Like this was just I see like a kind of pattern. It looks a bit similar. I said it's basically 2019 again. But I also was doing a little experiment here. On Twitter, what sort of posts like get like different kinds of engagement? When you actually tweet something like with some thought behind it, does it get a lot of engagement? When you tweet some like chart, does it get a lot of engagement? Let's have a look. And so there was this went I would say 171 likes. Woo, but like it's not. But people, it's more that people have an opinion on it. So therefore they start engaging maybe a bit more with it. People are, oh no, it's going to do this, it's going to do this. Oh, maybe blah blah blah, no, whatever, like people calling me stupid, etc etc. People saying, oh, TA, it's not TA. Like the whole point was, it's just, I think this little bit up here is just like 2019. I think there is I think we're going sideways for a while still, to be honest. But therefore, if we're going up now for a while, it'll go down at some point before we go up again. We'll see. But I don't really care. But again, it was the point of, guys, just stay humble and stack sats. Don't start doing the leverage stuff now, thinking we're going moon. Was the point really? But I didn't explicitly make that there and then.
So, man, Rockstar Dev, before we start your Inquisition, the question and answer with you, what are your thoughts on Walton's TA?
I am so impressed. I mean, you saw I needed to send you a DM of he literally needs to start the VC fund. I think all of us, especially in Bitcoin, we're underserved. and then Walton could raise a big VC fund, maybe start with like first fund 21 million, then the next one 210 million and 2.1 billion, and you fund Bitcoin companies and plebs really. Like we need more funding for podcasts. Yeah, so
So you're saying we should, instead of doing a scam where it just buys like Louis Vuitton handbags for men, or something like that, for fat men, we're actually like putting the money into like something good. That sounds like a crazy idea.
well, I mean, if you're Richard Hart, 2.0, maybe, yeah, because whenever I watch all the podcasts from 2016, 17, and there is Richard Hart, yeah, I can see that arc for you, man. I would be the first, yeah, supporter of the cult. Like, just let me know where to send my sats.
When Discord channel, Walton?
So like, all ignore my TA. You should go follow Plan D. Who is Plan D? That's Dieter. Dieter does the best TA on Bitcoin Twitter. Go follow Plan D.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, that wraps it up for the numbers, and we are going to move on over to our interview / discussion / inquisition with Rockstar Dev. All right, Rockstar Dev, as we said, we are super excited to have you on the show, and I know that you had some numbers that you wanted to share with us. What was it specific to NOSTR, or did it have to do with the event Nostrica?
I mean, we can do both. Why not?
Porque no los dos.
Exactly. Because yeah, I've died on Twitter, and there was a question of why am I dying on Twitter, and then Nostr just started pumping. So when you go to my Nostr account now, you can see that I'm dead on Twitter but live on Nostr, and a lot of people are following the path, right? You have a lot of people that are now not posting on Twitter, just on Nostr.
So hold on a second, though. I just want to back up here. Is this like a Schrodinger's cat type of meme that you're pulling off? You're alive in one place and dead in another?
No, it's
So what's
like
Rockstar Dev's true state? What's his true state?
Well, as I said, dead on Twitter, lives on Nostr. Yeah, and also I live only on podcasts when I'm summoned, as you can tell. Walton summoned me, and just go where Bitcoin sends me. But if we want to look in numbers and look at numbers for Nostr, the numbers that most people like care about right now is like those active users, right? So we have like big peaks whenever Jack Dorsey does something, but other than that, yeah, this is the big one that came out recently, like how much retention you have, and especially high quality users after sign up. But to go beyond just numbers here that you can find on Nostr.band, if you go on Nostr, engagement is actually, I mean, I would say as strong as it was in Twitter in my, days when I was alive last year. So I don't know. Do any of you two have Nostr account?
So I signed up for Nostr like, I don't know, last summer, like about 6 months before the kind of popular boom that came, this Q1 of this year. And I found it pretty clunky. Like a couple of times I've gone on just to say, yeah, zaps are bullshit, just to see if someone would zap me, and they did. But I just think that, I don't know. To me, it's like it's a good place if you're someone who was a Bitcoin maxi simpfluencer on Twitter. Apparently, I think it's even better on Nostr. So like, there's a few kind of characters that I think, I don't know, they're just regurgitating the same old bullshit. But if you generate a certain kind of following, you can farm your simps on Nostr very well with zaps. Now, does that mean that Nostr's complete nonsense? Of course not. Does it mean we're still quite early? Yes. Is the reason that me and Phil spend most of our time on Twitter is because there's actual, other people other than Bitcoiners to talk to, and that part of the discussion is important? Yes.
Yeah, I do think that that's well said, but I just want to add, I am also on Nostr. I've been on Nostr for a while, and just like Walton, you know, I've clowned it quite a bit, but at the end of the day, it's a powerful, simple protocol. I think that there's going to be a lot of really cool stuff built on it. I mean, you know,
so I think there's going to be a new Silk Road pretty fucking soon,
Yeah,
like
exactly,
which is
right?
obviously like. But then is that, I don't know. Is it a good thing? Yes. Is it a good thing for public perception? I don't know. Like,
doesn't matter. It doesn't.
I agree, it doesn't matter, but like, I don't know.
Like, think about it, right? Like, look, you know what people don't realize is, so when you tell somebody, all right, let's go back to the days before cell phones. Okay, people had pagers. So the perception of a pager is a drug dealer, but yet the people that were using pagers in society were doctors and nurses. But it started in places that needed a reduction of friction. So Nostr is a perfect place with incredibly reduced friction to create all of this stuff. So I do agree with you. At first, I'm sure mom and pops, they're going to be pissed off, right? Like, they're upset. This place sounds sketchy. The corporate owned media is going to do everything to discredit it, as they always have, you know, because of course it's not owned by by the right people, and it's not controlled by the right people. But it makes no difference. It's a free and open. It will be multiple free and open marketplaces, and it's going to generate a conversation that isn't really happening right now, or that I should say is being.
Are there many non-Bitcoiners using Nostr?
That's what
I mean, that's what actually everyone wants, is because if Nostr becomes just dominated by Bitcoiners, then others who even would benefit a lot from this protocol, they were like, oh well, I don't want to join Nostr to
Because that's kind of
push
how I
forward
feel it is
Bitcoiners.
right now.
Yeah,
Is that
but
it's almost too Bitcoiner heavy, and so therefore it's, oh well, it's just like it's some like super nerds from the Bitcoin community, because they care so much about decentralization that they need to have decentralization, more of social media right now, even though maybe many of them aren't getting censored. I don't know, like.
no, but
And then the
that's-
simps, you know, because the simpfluencers, because you know you can harvest the nerds better and things like that. Like if it gets too cliquey, like yeah, do enough normies join.
That's where we need to do a little bit work, and I say when we, it's like everyone in Nostr community, is to make it easier for normie simps to join, because at this point UI UX is not, it's as you say,
I think you've
Walton.
made an excellent point there. If you get
Yeah, it's
normie simps to come across, then they have to buy Bitcoin to send Bitcoin to the Bitcoin simpfluencers, which drives the kind of new Bitcoin adoption. That's very clever. It's a
no.
bit like VHS in the what is it,
Damn.
80s or whatever. So like sex wins out is what you're saying.
Damn it.
Make Bitcoin sexy again.
Now our master plan is out. Like no one should watch this episode. No, like damn, no. Walton, you will say like no one should join Noster. Damn it, man. We got the plan out. But anyways, because as soon as we do have UI UX a certain level, it's so much easier. Like you get one big creator on a platform, and they can use platform. Boom, you get tens of thousands of normie simps. You get another creator. But the big problem with Nostr, if you ask me now, my biggest issue is like that you're unable to migrate your following and your account between private keys. The private key that you generated, you're stuck with it. As soon as that is in place, so that normie creator can migrate the account, so that it's not build reputation, get hacked, get wrecked. It's like, no, be able to migrate to a new private key. I don't know. I will do my best to push for, hey, just bring a normie creator on with all the simps and push the platform in different direction, because it is Bitcoin heavy, but there is a surfer community. on represented. There's always like hippies. There are always hippies. There are a few, yeah, good hippie people who document their life and how they live on Nostr. So
I think
yeah,
one key thing I think that needs to happen when it comes to Bitcoiners using Nostr, if they're really passionate about decentralization, then they need to be advocating for that to be actually for that to be done rather than it just being a LARP. And what I mean by that is they need to be encouraging people to obviously save and back up their Nostr private keys, because I imagine a lot of Nostr users are using Damus. Now, Damus is an excellent app, right? Made by William Casseran, but obviously it's within iOS, which is a centralized app store. So how decentralized is your use of Nostr if your only use of it, for example, may be an app that's from a centralized app store? So please, if you're using Nostr, back up your private keys so that you don't lose access to your Nostr, even if your favorite app is taken because it's on a centralized app store. Don't be a decentralization LARP, because then you're just a shitcoiner, quite frankly. Like one of the biggest criticisms we correctly make of shitcoiners is their deno appetite, right? Decentralization in name only. Don't do that. Fuck shitcoins.
Yeah, very well said. And we're actually going to switch gears away from Nostr, but it's still kind of in the same vein, because there was another topic here that was brought up by Rockstar Dev. Okay, and we're going to talk about this here. This is Bitcoin plebs are as important as Bitcoin devs. I know that's going to trigger a lot of people, but I just want to read some choice stuff here before we discuss this. So here we go. In the description, Rockstar Dev wrote, "I think it would be an interesting idea to have a panel discussion on the importance of Bitcoin plebs as a group in the ecosystem and their interactions with Bitcoin devs as a group as well. The role of plebs in the Bitcoin community is often undervalued and underrepresented." That is a good point. "In my own definition," which I really like here, Rockstar, by the way, "plebs are individuals who spend almost all of their free time on Bitcoin-related activities, whether it's on Nostr, Twitter, Telegram, or other platforms, or in person, in an effort to contribute to the ecosystem. Ideally, they also allocate a percentage of their income to regularly purchase Bitcoin, setting a floor on its price." That's right. The hodlers are the floor, and people do not understand how important that is. "Additionally, they support developers through donations, support ecosystem through attending conferences, support pretty much the whole ecosystem by investing their time and money into Bitcoin over other hobbies or interests, for example, NFL, baseball, carpentry, etc." So I thought that was...
That sounds like a purity test, and I fucking love it. Like, I think we should be more exclusionary. Yeah. Because we care. Principles matter. Integrity over popularity. Fuck shitcoiners.
So I'm very interested, Rockstar Dev. What made you think of putting this together, this panel? I'm sorry, I'm assuming that this is your idea.
well, I must spill the beans. I was inspired by a person that I won't fully spill the beans. I was inspired by a person that asked me to think about good panels for TabConf, and if they decide to dox their involvement, they will do so. But it is actually something that has been on my mind for quite some time, because I guess, as you said, people will be triggered. But I think I explained it really well, because it's Bitcoin plebs as a group and then Bitcoin devs as a group. And over the years, well, first of all, like most of my Bitcoin time I've spent on Bitcoin, I was a pleb, man. I was on all Bitcoin talk forums on Reddit. I was arguing with people, and then when block size war and Segwit 2x happened, I was like in hell of a depression, because people that were previously friends, they became enemies, this and that. And I started questioning, like, why the hell am I doing this for all this years? Why am I arguing with people online? Like, what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
And then I remembered I actually can code. So that's where Nicholas was starting BtcPayServer, and it was just one developer alone with BitPay
This is
published that
Nicholas
blog post.
Dorier, right?
Yep, yep. Thanks for the additional context. And he was, yeah, this is lies. My trust in you is broken. I will make you obsolete. So you have one dev who who decided to obsolete company that just raised $60 million from like Bitmain and other investors. And
It was beautiful.
yeah, I was like, well, maybe I
Sorry,
should
who was the company that did the raise?
BitPay.
BitPay.
BitPay, right? Sorry, okay.
Yeah, and that's where really my role as a Bitcoin developer in Bitcoin ecosystem came in. Because for most devs, it's always like, oh, I'm gonna contribute to Bitcoin Core. But what I loved, especially with BtcPayServer, it was a big open source project that was on that application layer of Bitcoin. Like you are literally helping people run economic nodes, the nodes that when they receive Bitcoin, those nodes verify that it's uh, Bitcoin that goes under the consensus rules that they believe in. Because the biggest problem with BitPay was they decided for all of their merchants that SegWit 2x is Bitcoin. And that's a big no. Like you just can't do that to people. So yeah. And then over time, as now I was like dev in a Bitcoin ecosystem, I saw all those instances where you do have devs defending maybe some VC, and then plebs getting upset with that, or plebs pushing for a certain cause, and then devs are like, well, you don't really know the impact of this change from technical side. And I really think having a panel like this where everyone is represented will just give us opportunity to talk, uh, get problems out, solve them, and then I don't know, have a drinks later. Like I'm buying drinks for everyone if this panel happens. So yeah,
All right, I'm
that's the
in.
background. Boom. Okay.
You've got your pleb.
No, we need many, 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 many. Like, I think you should have a big panel.
Well, I don't know. See, pleb. So you, Walton can be pleb. Then who is pleb dev? Who is dev pleb? And who is a dev? This will be a big one
Oh, I
because
see what you mean, like
some,
a
yeah,
spectrum from one side to
yeah,
the other.
from like
I
completely
kind of like
autistic
that.
to completely autistic. Yeah.
I like it a lot. I think it's I definitely think it's a good idea. So let me ask you this: in terms of this panel, right? I guess what would you say right now is I guess the most negative perception of plebs? Because of course, when you're on Twitter, right, like everything is an echo chamber. So we may not be seeing the entire truth, but I have seen some influencers, to a certain extent push back and say that, we're in some cases, toxic for no reason, or in some other cases it's it's the purity test, right? The purity test, which is bad and it drives people away. What are your thoughts?
I mean, death threats, you know, when it gets to that level where someone gets, I don't know, there is a developer and then they feel threatened for their safety for whatever reason, like that's pretty bad. But what complicates the situation is those how did you call them, Walton? Simp farmers in Bitcoin that then
Simfluencers, yeah.
Simpluencers, yeah, because they come in and then they turn it around into, oh, plebs are mean to me, so I'm like a dev, poor devs, and yeah, it's like standard crew that we shouldn't mention because they love being mentioned.
Yeah,
So
attention seekers seeking attention. Yeah.
yeah, profit maximalists, and it's a skill. Like that's what I always look at is these people are great at being victims so that their podcast gets more views. And, and then they do invite people who are not honest and who are there to push certain narrative, and then they cry together, and then Bitcoin plebs
Oh, I
usually say,
realize
well,
I
this
realize now what we're talking about. Yeah, but
yeah,
we don't talk.
everyone
Look,
realizes what we're
look,
Oh,
talking
I
about.
realize that.
you only need to listen to one podcast with a British host, and that's Pleb Underground. So, yeah,
You mean Mexican host, right?
yeah.
That's what the grifters
It's
did.
Yeah,
Vamos.
it's a Mexican post. From what I know, there is a guy named Pedro that has a podcast, right?
Oh,
I mean, he
God.
looks
Yeah, I
like
don't
he's
know.
eating a
I
lot of
don't know,
Mexican
man.
food. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. This wraps up this portion of the show, and we are moving on over to REKT. REKT is brought to you by Crypto Cloaks. Check them out, cryptocloaks.com. Also serving Europe, cryptocloaks.co.uk. And don't forget to use your code PlebUnderground for 5% off awesome 3D prints made by Bitcoiners, like the 3D printed grenade where you could fit an open dime. Get the bigger one and you can fit a signing device. Don't forget to check them out. CryptoCloaks.com. Don't forget to use the code PlebUnderground for 5% off. We're going to start this off with just the grift of grifts, right? BCH and BSV shitcoiners. Here we go.
I was confused when I saw this tweet
Yeah, me too. And that's why.
because they seem to be taking the piss out of themselves.
Exactly. It's such a wrecked tweet. Look at this, okay? At Ordinal's wallet. It's not an NFT, bro. It's an artifact of Ordinal theory. And it can only get more rare as time passes. What? And look, maybe I will never sit there and think I'm not the idiot, okay? I have no problem thinking I'm the idiot. Can either of you tell me what this account just said? Like, why?
Wait, no, show the one about them talking about increasing the block size. Like, show that one. Like, these guys are fucking shitcoiners. They're BSV guys. Apparently, it's some guy called Coin Yeezy and some other guy, Randy. Randy Crypto Whale. Like, there's just fucking scammers running stuff. Like, trying, we talk a bit of Bitcoin, pull some people in, and do the shitcoins. Like, this is kind of, I mean, they're actually slightly ahead on this. Like, you need to reference, look, there is a cycle to this. And pomp determines the cycle.
Yeah.
Right? I said, I think I tweeted this a couple of days ago. I said, look, Bitcoin market cycles, there's 4 stages. The first stage is that real conviction is building within true Bitcoiners who stack and build. Rockstar alluded to some of these people earlier. Step 2, wankers like Pomp use the momentum to pull in high time preference noobs. He did an excellent speech this week, right? Why? Because this is the time of the cycle. Step 3, wankers like Pomp shill them shit like BlockFi. And step 4, the noobs get rugged and the cycle repeats. So, yeah, these guys sound like they're already on step 3. No, you're meant to be doing step 2 right now, which is, improving your image like Pomp. That's why he's the number 1 Bitcoin only affinity scammer in the space, is because he understands the cycle of Bitcoin and when you can apparently talk it up to then pull in the suckers a little bit later to dump on them in the bear market. So yeah, fuck the noise.
And not only that, Walton, is like Pomp is representative of Bitcoin to like outside of Bitcoin. And maybe this
so he
is
was
where
who I
will-
listened to before, like, because I couldn't listen to McCuck, like, so Pedro is who I, yeah, not Pedro, sorry, Pomp's who I listened to in, I don't know, 2018 or something.
Yeah, and I was actually on call with Pomp last week. I mean, sorry, I can never be that much against Pomp because he was one of the early supporters of Strike. But yeah, I completely get that. And this is where it becomes really tricky, is because you do have people who are useful. And then if you do follow them in BlockFi and whatnot, then it's terrible. But Yeah, I don't know. Well, what are your thoughts on this, guys?
Yeah, I mean personally. So look, to Walton's point, when he first came into the Bitcoin space, the crypto space, he had a whole bunch of really great interviews with
Right?
some people, right, with some people that were like, look, it was really helpful. But then I quickly realized, unfortunately, when he had people like Alex Mashinsky
He
on,
had Kathy Wood on, which was quite a good conversation. I remember
that's
back
right.
in that sort of time.
And even back then, he also had Meltem Demirors on, who coined the term the shitcoin waterfall. Yeah, exactly. And then all of a sudden, right? Like, and it's not all of a sudden, she was always a shitcoiner. So there was stuff like that that just kind of like started to rub me the wrong way. And then BlockFi. To be honest, for me, what really threw me for the loop 100% was the coin mine. And I understand that some people have purchased this device and have believed that they got an ROI on it. That's perfectly fine.
What is the coin mine?
The coin mine is this overpriced little mini computer that you can.
Oh, okay. You plug in and you get like 6 hashes a day, and the chances just actually mean that you're better off just buying Bitcoin because the electricity usage is too high or something like that.
And if you're living in one of the very few regions, okay, where having one of those devices is profitable, you're going to be like, that's not a scam. But dude, this is the whole thing. This is the mind fuck behind it, right? You're going to have one person, one cheerleader that's going to stand there and say, this guy's not a scammer. Look, I made money. I changed my life. And then everyone points to that one person and goes, they changed their lives. That guy's not a scammer. But that's a mind fuck. When 90% of the people are getting rugged or 80% of the people are getting rugged, how the fuck is that not a scam?
So what happens is we still live in a fiat world, right? And the fiat world selects for what I call political quotient, right? This is an ability to essentially manipulate others, get people to do things for you, project a certain image, etc., rather than intelligent quotient or emotional quotient. And Pomp has good political quotient. And what this means is he can kind of zigzag, gaining kind of more and more followers and creating a bigger platform, that sometimes he uses to promote Bitcoin and sometimes he's a complete fucking shitcoiner. And it unfortunately it's a product of the fiat world. And we talked about this last time. I think I'm going to call this GG's number. If you got more followers than GG on Twitter, you're a shitcoiner, basically. Like, and at what point do the people get bought? I don't know.
You know what?
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead, Rockstar
this
Dev.
is where, yeah, I would jump in and talk about this because to me, I've been thinking about this a lot. It was just like, why does Bitcoin touch and support these people? Because it does. It's like they would never be invited to CNBC and to talk about Bitcoin and represent Bitcoin in a way. And this is where I came to conclusion that it's all about proof of work. At the end of the day, you can hold this against this person, that against this person, but they show up every day. They push their narrative, and then, in a sense, like any of them that stays beneficial to Bitcoin kind of stays on top. Others drown. I mean, we had examples where there were influencers or simpluencers. I'm starting to like the term.
It's a great
They
term.
just drowned because they were too stubborn to recognize their mistakes. They were like, "Oh, I had no idea what I was doing by shilling this shit
So
coin."
an example of this, like breed love, yeah.
I mean,
But like Max
don't
Kaiser,
know,
like
yeah.
again, it's like he gets like a pass. What is it like? Once I mean, and hands, I love it. Is never giving like anyone a pass. Like you should go follow and hands _ jail. Like this guy spots shitcoiners from a mile off. But like and doesn't forget, like, Max has done a few things, right? There was Dash, there's Max Coin, Tether Gold, now the Volcano shitcoin bonds, like, which have eventually come out maybe 2 years after or something they were going to. Like, at some point, do people get a pass? Is there a, what's the word? This kind of, I think this terminology came up when Nick Carter was doing his nonsense, that like they've done enough good for Bitcoin.
The halo effect.
Do you believe in the halo effect?
That's what it is. I do
I
believe in the halo
mean,
effect.
me too, man. Like that's what you're saying is exactly how it is for me. And I've actually enhanced is one of my favorite plebs, and him and me had a few discussions on several topics. But yeah, at the end of the day, I can tell you, yeah, it's not easy. You're right. Yeah, that Gigi's number, because Gigi is someone that I was telling that to him. Is like, man, it's crazy being with you at conferences because everyone feels that aura of purity, and they're like, oh my god, that guy Gigi, he's amazing. On the other hand,
I mean, I never bought a shitcoin, so like I'm working on it.
no, but Gigi also said like, he's open, like he was a shitcoiner, and for a lot of Bitcoiners, what people don't realize is like I was a shitcoiner, like I believed in blockchain and this and that,
Mhm.
but then you spend few years, you get wrecked, and then you try to explain to people so that they don't make mistakes, but you
So
got to let
I think it
people
depends
make
on where you come
mistakes.
in. I think it depends on where you come in. If you come in during a bull cycle, during a bull
It does.
market, then you're then it's a high time preference thing, and it's like, oh, you're gambling, and then you learn more. Whereas if you come in a bear market like me, it's 2018, you're skeptical of everything. Oh, it's all a scam, and okay, you're saying it's scarce. Really? Oh no, Bitcoin is independently, verifiably scarce. The rest aren't. Oh, then maybe this one maybe has some potential. And then I think you learn later, from my perspective, I got tempted at some point later, oh, maybe I'll buy something. But then I started to understand more about kind of the bigger picture of the ethical dilemma of how it all relates. And it's like, now I just kind of like, it grosses me out. Like, I want to try and avoid Cantillon effect, even though I would get richer by going the other way. Like, I just have a, yeah, real objection to it morally.
Maybe you would, because this is where Bitcoin journey is individual. It's for all of us, and this what I'm telling you. Yeah, I didn't come in Bitcoin, like last 5 years or whatnot. Like I was in Bitcoin for like over a decade now, and I still fell for shitcoin narrative and everything. So yeah, I should have known better, but I didn't. I made a mistake. You put in proof of work. That's it. Like do better, and that's what I hope for everyone. And our previous discussion on like plebs versus devs, like, I would love to apply that the same way, is because no one is perfect. There just needs to be enough leeway and bandwidth to process mistakes.
I do wonder how many people come in through kind of your route versus my route, and I imagine that the vast majority come more through your route, right? They get sucked in by the hype of the bull market, and that's why people like Pomp remain where they are, is because they're not necessarily bringing people to Bitcoin, but that these people are listening to the bigger figures, at times, and yeah, and for what do they do some good for Bitcoin? I think so. Like I liked Pomp's thing this week, but let's not forget that's just the stage we're at in the cycle. Stage number 2, stage number 3, he's gonna start shilling them some new shit, and then stage number 4, these new suckers get rugged if they didn't manage to avoid what he was shilling them.
So
This is where so sorry, just
oh
to
no,
say,
go ahead.
this is where you do need to give people individual freedom. It's like you can't save them from themselves. You should just keep running your own individual proof of work, let it shine as a beacon for whatever it's worth, and go from there.
But I think also you have to, if you believe in free markets, you, as a good actor, you need to call out bad behavior, and try and educate people on what that actually is, because you can't expect regulations to try and save them, when all regulations do is provide moats around industry. Yeah.
100%, but this is where you need to understand yourself and know whether you're doing more good than, like, whether you're
Right,
pushing the cause
evaluate
or
your
urging the cause.
effectiveness.
Yes,
Evaluate your
because, like,
effectiveness in what you're doing.
I am terrible at arguing with people online because I immediately want to get to the resolution, and I don't have much time.
Yeah.
So like, people say some passive aggressive bullshit where they're like, I'm good, and I tell them, like, no, like, this is what's happening, and they're like, no, you're just toxic. And then my day is ruined because I haven't, done this on this project. I'm trying to support this dev. Yeah, and then that's where I realize is for me, I need to keep running my own proof of work. And yeah, like, that's it. And if I can't help, I shouldn't hurt the cause, because there are other people who are much better at exposing hypocrisy and scams that people do. And yeah, let them do their work.
Right, and I think there's something to be said about not diluting work. Like, a lot of people, they do great things and call out some scammers, and then spend the rest of their time doing stupid shit. And it's like, if you undermine your kind of reputation as a kind of upstanding person, then when you're calling out other people for not being upstanding, you're not going to get the same reach, and it's not going to get as much attention as perhaps it should.
Speaking of the moral and ethical dilemma, we still have a whole other part to this REKT segment, okay? So we're going to move on to the next piece, because we're talking about shitcoiners, we're talking about the moral and ethical dilemma, and let's take a look at this. Timing is everything, and it's exactly what you said, Walton. It's very interesting, right? So this week, as people know, the ETH shitcoiners have now had permission to unstake their shitcoin and are now allowed to sit on a waiting list, right? Now, so that means there's going to be a whole bunch of money, right, floating around, because there's a bunch of people that are going to sell part of their stake, whatever it is, and they're going to want to take those funds and enter the shitcoin casino with them. And you want to make sure that you want to be there right at the gate to fleece the noobs. So let's take a look at this tweet. Without a second to spare, here we go. Bankless HQ. What is this? Alpha has never been easier to find. Oh, so look at that. A whole bunch of ETH people are going to be able to dump part of their stakes. They're going to have this loose money around. We've got to make sure to corral, right? You got to corral the herd, and you got to fleece them. So here we go. Let's see.
Just remind me for a second, because I don't pay enough attention to some of this shitcoin. Remind me, did everyone have to stake?
No.
Because I thought some people were selling recently on exchanges. Actually, I think I became an uncle recently, and when I was there, trying to teach my sister and her husband about some more Bitcoin and setting up a little something for their newborn, my brother-in-law just voluntarily was like, so I should sell all my shitcoins, right, and take them off exchange. I went, yeah, yes, you should, sir. Yes, you should. And so he did exactly that. He sold his Ethereum, which I was confused about, because I thought it was everyone's Ethereum in the world was staked or something. So can you explain that a little bit, Phil?
Yeah, no.
What happened?
It's the people who chose, right? It's number one, it's the people who chose to stake it. Number two, you had to have a minimum of 32 ETH in order to...
Oh, so it's just the validator people, like just the kind of big dons.
And then, of course, the exchanges started to allow this staking, such as Coinbase, right? But anyways, let's take a look at this video, because the timing seems awfully suspicious, right? All of a sudden, these people can unstake their shitcoin. And here we go.
Bankless is launching the Bankless Token Hub. At Bankless, we've been studying the crypto markets ever since 2017, and all of our research has led us to this, the Token Hub. You're a one-stop shop for alpha to help you navigate through the crypto markets. Have you ever wished for a trusted resource that would share their thoughts, ratings, and their opinions about tokens? Boy, do we have the product for you. The Bankless Token Hub is where we provide Bankless citizens with the alpha on the hottest tokens in crypto. We do the research so you don't have to. The Bankless Token Hub includes the token ratings, where our team...
Okay, we're not even going to watch the whole video. We're just going to stop it there because...
Hi, I have lots of integrity, and you can tell by the tone of my voice that I have low T. So please, I'm alpha.
he's not reading a script, first of all. So if you're implying...
No, he just said alpha in the most high-pitched tone, and I just thought it was hilarious. Like,
Oh, okay,
come
'cause
on,
I
guys,
thought he was
fucking
saying-
shitcoiners. But the thing is, the shitcoiners who buy from these people are even more fucking soy. So yeah, just don't, increase your testosterone, do some fucking lifting, and stop being shitcoiners.
So I want you to think about this, right? I want you to think about this. All of their research led to them creating a rating system for shitcoins. I want you to think about that, right? Because
Aren't these the people that were paid 6 figures a month by fucking shitcoiners to promote shit and then pretended they weren't?
let's save everybody a whole lot of time. You don't have to subscribe to Token Hub. I'm going to tell you right now, all of them are fucking scams. That's it. Like, what else? But isn't the timing strange? Right? All of a sudden, all these shitcoiners are starting to be able to unstake their coin. And look at that. Right? Bankless HQ right there to corral them in. What shitcoins should you be buying? Let us help you with our trusted rating system, right? So we're going to do research for you.
Given the low T, you'd think they'd be called like Wankmore HQ.
I call them Brainless HQ, but I know that that's just a mean ad hominem.
Is Evan Van Mess one of those people? I don't know anyone's names. Evan Van Mess is one of them.
There's Evan Van Mess, right? There's
Yeah.
there's Ryan S. Adams, and there's David Hoffman.
Ryan Sadmans, and we need to rename the last one.
Yeah, Ryan Sadams. All right, Rockstar Dev. I don't know if you were aware of this lucrative opportunity that Bankless just offered the shitcoiners. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I'm investing, boys. I'll be rich. Let's go.
They're doing the research.
I
Rockstar
mean,
Dev, so you don't have to.
I've been trying hard not to unmute my microphone and start laughing when you play that video. What can you do, man? Yeah, what can you do? That's all comment I have.
It's perfect timing, right? I just find it absolute like they, and the sad thing is that they understand their audience. I know that's going to sound mean because I know when I was shitcoining, I was thinking stupid thoughts. So I know what the audience is. The audience is thinking stupid thoughts. So they understand their audience and they know that these people are going to get bored when they unstake and they are going to want to quote unquote make investments. These are not
These guys are the new Raoul Pal, right? Basically, it's these shitcoiners. They can't build a brand for long enough because it's all fucking vapor, built on vaporware. Like it's all hot air, right? And so they can only survive for so long. And then when one of them starts, going down in Grand Cayman, some other people start coming up.
That's exactly right. There was an empty space left from Raoul Pal and the rest of his scammers. And hey, Bankless HQ sees an opportunity, right?
I'm not going to lie. One issue I have with shitcoiners, and I think it's bigger than actually them making money, is how they abuse the mainstream media into making the mainstream media believe that there is a genuine appetite for coverage on all of these shitcoins. I'll explain a little bit more what I mean by this. There was, I don't know, this is 6 months ago, maybe more, time flies. I talked to some Bloomberg reporter in a Bitcoin space, and they highlighted, maybe it wasn't Bloomberg, it's either Bloomberg or Business Insider, I don't know, one of these, big kind of financy type things. And they said that they write articles on Bitcoin, but they also write articles on altcoins as well because we get asked, and I kind of drilled on a little bit on this, like, what do you mean by that? And she's saying, oh, well, there's sort of a quota. Well, I don't know if that's her words, but from the kind of editorial team, there's a data-driven quota on how many articles that their journalists are writing on different coins. And I said, I don't know if this is happening, but I would wager a bet that there are, some very rich shitcoiners that understand this as well, that pay influencers to drive traffic to articles on your site so that then you write more articles about these things. And because they can print money to drive this behavior, your incentives are being abused, and there's more publication of articles about shitcoins than there would be because of the nature of shitcoins and what it enables them to do. And she wouldn't have any of it. But I'm convinced there's some of this happening.
So I think that's an interesting point. I think that so first of all, you have to look at the players, right? You got to take a look at the players. So you've got Polycap, you have A16Z, right? A16Z is what essentially funds the majority of the shitcoin space. They essentially invented the vaporware that is Web3. So and then you take a look at digital, right? Like digital media, like Cointelegraph, and CoinDesk and stuff like that. This is all shitcoin money, right? This is all shitcoin VCs. So the reality is that they are not incentivized. They are not incentivized to talk about Bitcoin, but they are indeed incentivized to talk about crypto. And let's be honest, right? When we break it down, that is the walled garden that they can control. They can't control Bitcoin. This is the problem, right? If you are not ready to actually produce something real, if you are not ready to, Rockstar Dev's point, to put in actual proof of work, then you hop on over to the shitcoins where you can possibly create money out of vaporware. But if you believe that you can actually do something and you want to work, because there are indeed people who actually want to work, well, then you're going to go on. You're going to go to Bitcoin. You're going to gravitate towards Bitcoin, and you're going to try to build on Bitcoin. And don't get me wrong, it is not the companies that are, how could I say this? It's not the ones that are not resilient, right? If you are not resilient and you are incapable and you are just trying to scam, your best bet is to hop on over to the shitcoins, because you don't actually have to do anything, and all you got to do is pay a marketing team, and there you go. So,
well, I mean, you can do a little bit of dev and research, but this is where I would really argue that shitcoins are useful. Is because imagine if Bitcoin was all there is. Like, imagine how much you would need to like tolerate Vitalik on Bitcoin Core PRs as he tries to insert his technical mumbo jumbo that those of us who spend decades in computer science like just know doesn't work. If you look when Vitalik originally proposed what he was proposing, what was it, like quantum computer, and Adam Back debated him. It's like it's time, it's energy wasted. So sorry everyone in the audience, but yeah, I find shitcoins useful, and then they do throw good parties.
Okay,
One
so
one
again,
time
what?
I need to get Walton one of the shitcoin parties, and we drink on their
so I
money.
think, hold on.
So just briefly though on Adam, and it links to what I was saying before. Like I love Adam. Obviously, he's a genius. I think he's part, like a fraction of Satoshi, whatever. But like he isn't necessarily the most engaging of speakers. If you don't already know who he is, you're not necessarily going to be kind of listening in closely. And why is that? Well, if you're authentic, if what you believe is authentic, you can just kind of talk calmly and quietly maybe about it. Unless you understand that actually, no, maybe you need to be a bit more passionate about Bitcoin, because who else is passionate? Well, it's the people that don't have any actual substance, and so therefore they get good at projecting this passion. They get good at selling. Bitcoiners need to recognize they need to get better at selling. They need to be more engaging, because you gotta fight fire with fire, right?
That's right. That's exactly right. And I just want to reiterate Rockstar Dev's point before we move on to the Hopium. I do agree with you that shitcoins are useful in terms of the playground, right? It's the playground of ideas where things crash and burn, and it does help. Any technology where
Regulatory. Yeah,
Sorry?
sorry to add, but like regulatory distraction, because you have all these regulators looking into crypto, and yeah, like some are security, but then they're too busy with that to pay attention to Bitcoin. So they're useful for that as well.
Yeah, see, as a distraction as well. So yeah, I definitely don't disagree with that. My whole problem, right? And this has been my problem from the beginning, is the way that they're marketed. And then that goes back to Walton's point. We have to fight fire with fire. So even like us on this show, we put on, we have clickbaity thumbnails, clickbaity titles. Sometimes they're hyperbolic, because the reality is that at the end of the day, it's a battle for people's hearts and minds. And you have to be able to entice somebody to come and take a look at your content. And the good thing is that when they come and check us out, they're really only being told about Bitcoin only, which is the only real thing in this whole entire space. So yeah.
You need to step up that clickbait, like Walton wears a wig, and maybe some
Maybe the shirt can come off again.
You're
yelling.
yeah, man. Hey, let's see that high tea, man.
Dangerous.
But no, I think on over there. Now the great thing also about being right is you're just right, and time will prove that.
Just right.
And that's it.
What's the famous Satoshi quotation that everyone butchers?
But that's the funniest thing, is because guy went on to create 5 cryptocurrencies. What's Dan Larimer?
Oh God!
If you don't understand, I don't have time to.
EOS, Steam.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I loved about Dan is that every time he was like, "I'm solving the problem. This time, I'm solving the." That was a great one.
Oh my gosh, it was brutal.
One crazy number. I know we're not in numbers anymore, but one crazy number, of course, was that Block One, the EOS guys, have more Bitcoin than MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor. Well, I mean, I guess we don't know Michael Saylor's private holdings, but that still gets underplayed. How much fucking Bitcoin these shitcoiners have? Why? Because the whole fucking point of shitcoins is for them to take your Bitcoin.
Everyone is
Let's
a scammer.
go.
And on that note, we are moving on over to the Hopium.
The Hopium. Up next on Pleb Underground, we have Hopium. Hopium is sponsored by Represent. Represent are a manufacturer of some excellent apparel and accessories. You can check them out over at representltd.com, and if you use the code PlebUnderground, you get a discount on all of the goodies. Once again, that's representltd.com. So on Hopium this week, you know that Dieter is my favorite TA, Plan D, but I also quite like when Adam Back shares some numbers that sound bullish, because he knows, right? He knows. So he says in Q1 of 2023, the Bitcoin price increased from as in over the quarter, by 70%, from 16.6k to 28k. Interesting to note that if that rate continues, Bitcoin would be in June 48k, September 82k, December 140k, or for 100k by 31st December, price growth would need to fall from 70% to 53% for quarters 2, 3, and 4. He says, of course, lots of short-term volatility swings and price can go jump or drop just because, but already we're ahead of the growth curve for the first 13 days of April, and then some massive green dildo coming from planet Earth. I don't know why he does these ones, but he does. I quite like them, but I don't know. To me it's slightly strange. So and one more link, sharing some bullish numbers for the Hopium this week. We've seen Satoshi's TA. Now we can see other numbers that are good. HODL waves. What are these? Well, the amount of Bitcoin that is not moving for a certain period of time is increasing, basically. That's a good thing. Is Bitcoin going to get more centralized over time? What you can see in this chart is no, that's not happening, because the numbers... And again, or rather, I think you can infer it to some degree. The numbers of addresses with amounts of this are increasing now. Could you have like a bunch of whales with you know, thousands and thousands of addresses, each with small amounts, maybe, but still, is Bitcoin dying? No, it's definitely not. There are more people using it. Public lightning capacity is going up. It isn't money. Well, it's better than what we have. Is it another bubble? I mean, well, what's this here? That was Amazon. So in the there was a little, you know, not much in the late 90s, about 2000, 99, and then you know, of course, it's done quite well since then. Things that provide real value in the real world, like Amazon, like Bitcoin, usually do pretty well over time. Will it get replaced by better tech? Now, this is something that gets talked about quite a lot, right? Bitcoin dominance. I mean, I think it's kind of a useless stat because, you know, you can have a bunch of shitcoins, you can sell a load of scams, and people will keep buying scams because there's a bunch of fucking stupid people, and there's a lot of scammers. People want to print their own money, but what we do actually see is that Bitcoin dominance does seem to kind of generally tick up over time. Now, you seem to get these like moments when I say tick up over time. Obviously, you can see it's going down from here, but I mean that you get that like since what is that? Since 2018, Bitcoin dominance has been rising. That's good. All right, these shitcoins are struggling more and more. I don't know what that purple one is, but that one is getting wrecked. Oh, XRP. Oh, that's funny. Bye-bye. I always hear RIP instead of XRP, but anyway. Bitcoin is only traded on exchange, and it's all fake wash trading. Who knows? Take your coins off exchanges. Guys, are you feeling bullish about Bitcoin?
I mean, I'm not feeling bullish. I know Bitcoin is inevitable, and that's what I always bring up to people when they're like, "Oh, Bitcoin will fail." And I'm like, "Yeah. When AI comes, it will print paper currency."
So if Bitcoin is inevitable,
yeah.
if Bitcoin is inevitable, then why do you work on Bitcoin and for Bitcoin companies? If you think Bitcoin is inevitable, why are you trying to reduce the friction?
Because I enjoy being part of the wave that's inevitable, and like I enjoy. Well, it's a continuation of everything because you would also need to go back to my childhood. Like, why do we do anything? And I spent my childhood in hyperinflation, so yeah, there is that part as well. Uh, no, and when I say inevitable, yeah, people debate it. They're like, "Oh no, Bitcoin can fail. Bitcoin this, Bitcoin that," but Bitcoin is beyond the point of failure. So
Yeah, I agree.
it's just yeah, you need to keep going, and I enjoy being part of the wave. So that's for me.
The
As
Bitcoin
for
is inevitable phrase, I think, is sometimes a meme, and it's important to not to understand it. I think it is inevitable, but if you want it to actually happen within the time frame that is more meaningful to your life, then that's a different factor, and that's why many of us work on Bitcoin, is because we want to see more change happen during our lifetime. Yes, Bitcoin, I think almost certainly eventually wins, but it's better if it wins sooner, and so we fight the
I
fight.
think, yeah, that's that metaphor again of proof of work. So yeah, if all work stops, will Bitcoin fail? Yes. Will it happen? No. But sure, let's not give people false like, oh, you don't need to do anything. Yeah, continue doing what you're doing, increase your work, absolutely, for that. And then what you show the graph with um percentage of like Bitcoin under control, I always want to bring up to people that like there is Pareto principle, like it's universal law where you have 80-20 rule, And
I
then
reference Boltzmann distribution. If you look at the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution showing energy of particles in a system, it almost identically matches distribution of wealth in populations, and that's because, of course, energy is transferred like in collisions, in the same way that value is transferred in interactions, collisions between people. You know. And ultimately, right? We believe this as Bitcoiners. Money not is energy, but that there should be kind of an intrinsic link between money and energy, and so it's unsurprising that money seems to have some sort of thermodynamic links when you look at the numbers.
money, yeah, that's why I'm excited about Bitcoin as technology. It's best money technology we had. Before Bitcoin, the technology that we had was you elect board of central bank, and then they control money supply because we didn't have better technology. And yeah, I would leave it there.
I think also the grift from the central bankers is that without the money printing, right? Because remember, this is something that I ended up learning, or I mean that I believe, but essentially central bankers believe that they are better architects of reality
Sure
and
they do.
economics than the free markets. So from what we've seen, their whole
Ironically, Phil,
on
it's
one second,
because
hold on.
money printing has actually enabled all of these elites to be better, because they're invincible, right? They always get bailed out, and so yeah, no wonder they have god complexes.
Yeah, exactly. So the whole idea for them is that, you know, you wouldn't have this abundance of reality, this abundance of technology, if we weren't in charge of the money and we weren't printing it. Obviously, they don't say
Yeah,
printing, but specifically the being in charge of the money and handling the monetary policy, right? Because without all that money printing, you wouldn't have the technology. You wouldn't have smartphones today. You wouldn't have the internet without them printing money. Think about how stupid that is. Necessity is the mother of all invention, not money printing. That is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. So yeah, we are up against a horrible, horrible long narrative that has totally brainwashed the majority of people, sadly, and it's a lot of undoing yourself. You know,
It's crazy that
Well,
these people think. Sorry, go on, you go.
no, man, well, this is where I need to jump in. I tried like, but what you said makes me more optimistic because, like, man, they're right. Like, I am thankful for central banking up to this point. At this point, it is becoming very obvious that these legacy systems, they do not scale past certain point, and we saw that over last 3 years, 4 years with everything that happened, where these people they more and more blatantly lie in hope that they will, elect me and I will fix the system. And they are trying, but just technology is not at the level. Like, no, systems are not at the level where they can process this amount of information. And this goes back to cypherpunks, which I absolutely love. They realized all this in 90s, and eCash was a holy grail exactly because of realization that as amount of information increases, you will have more and more instances of information madness where people, they're trying their best, but they're literally insane, thinking that they're able to control and like continue with this printing of money and central banks. Like, yeah, that works on the same scale, like, I don't know, 1970s, the way that golden coins worked in ancient age.
Hmm.
This is, yeah, where I think for all of us Bitcoiners, realization comes in and says like, well, no wonder people are fighting us because they haven't read gradually, then suddenly from Parker Lewis, they haven't read Bitcoin Standard. They maybe, maybe they are on board of central bank and they think that this printing of money will continue while it won't. So yeah, but again, I am thankful, and here it is, to all central bankers, including my lovely Janet Yellen. Like she's like treasury. But I love you. Thank you for all the money printing. But it's okay for you to retire, baby. Us Bitcoiners, we have it from here.
It's funny that these small group of people think that they can steer the ship, when actually there's a lot of many people think of Satoshi as being a bit like Noah, right? Creating some ship that's going to save us all from the flood. And I just realized just a moment ago that actually, of course, Noah brought the animals 2 by 2. Satoshi is bringing us bit by bit. And of course, a bit of is 2. Like I don't know. Some people talk maybe Satoshi is like Jesus, but I do think Noah is the better analogy, right? There is this big orange lifeboat, and you need to climb aboard.
Very well said.
Yeah. Now I have one further story for the Hopium this week before we wrap it all up. Let me share my screen here. So over the last forever, since PlebUnderground has existed, I've been talking about institutional adoption not being all these companies putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet, but us seeing fiat type companies investing in acquiring, adopting these services and products around Bitcoin, because that's where the greater margins are. And this week there's been an increased talk about Lightning service providers. Now, what are Lightning service providers? Essentially, they are companies that enable Lightning use without people using their own node. Now, is that a good thing? Should we all be doing custodial? That's a discussion we're not going to be having right now. I run my own Lightning node. I encourage others to do so, but it's not necessarily the most practical thing for everyone. Let's have a little look about Lightning service providers. So, apparently credit goes to the real king only, who coined this term almost 3 years ago. He's building, this guy's called Roy, building Breeze, which is an excellent mobile application for running, essentially, for having access to Lightning in about as sovereign way as you can without running your own Lightning node. So you can, I believe, still hold your own keys, but essentially you have a channel, I think, between you and the Breeze node. It's not, there's kind of different ways of doing these things, essentially, but Lightning service providers reduce the friction of a whole bunch of people using Lightning that would not otherwise be able to do so. I think you can think of Wallet of Satoshi as being a little bit like a Lightning service provider, but let's have a look at some of these other ones. There's some word salad, some explanation here. But let's have a look at some other examples. Of course, we mentioned Breeze. Lightspark is the one that's getting all the attention this week, led by David Marcus, who ran PayPal and Facebook's Libra. So the guy sounds like a bit of a shitcoiner, but he gets some praise here because some guy's sucking up. Blah blah blah. This Lightspark platform, I think, apparently it looks quite exciting. It also looks like it's quite expensive as for like kind of entry users. But again, are these things good? We also know about Voltage and this other one that can't be pronounced. So, good luck looking these guys up. And then there's a couple more. And, of course, a new one coming, Olympus, built by the number one Lightning, mobile Lightning app controller, Zeus. It's phenomenal. I used it. So if you don't have Zeus, please get it. It's the perfect app for controlling your node from your phone. Like to the same way that you can use some of these custodial ones for kind of simplicity. Zeus gives you that, but using your own node. They're providing a Lightning service provider as well. So why is this Hopium? Well, it's Hopium because companies that are being funded by shitcoiners are building out systems for more and more people to interact with Bitcoin. Why is that good? Well, because it's good if shitcoiners are paying for some of the marketing of Bitcoin. Because, now, should they have any money to be doing this? Probably not, right? Let's have the shitcoiners be poor, but that's not happening anytime soon. These fiat people also, they've got some money. They want to get in on something. They're not just going to be buying Bitcoin. They're going to be investing in the products and services in and around Bitcoin, because that's where some of these extra margins are. But it's good for Bitcoin because it's going to get the word Bitcoin in front of more and more and more consumers, because they're going to see it as an option that they can pay using Bitcoin or Lightning at more and more retailers, because that's how these Lightning service providers make money, is by getting retailers to adopt the services that they're offering.
Yeah, I personally love this one, man. And I can talk about it maybe from example of BtcPayServer, is because when you do get that, again, BtcPayServer up and you're getting the best possible Bitcoin core node online, which is economic node that you use for accepting Bitcoin, on-chain works great. You just give your XPub, and then private key is safely stored on your hardware wallet or wherever it is, on a steel plate dug
Signing
somewhere.
device.
Yeah, signer device. There we go. Your pinned tweet now comes into signer device. But for Lightning, big problem. You need to manage liquidity. You need to open channels. You need to have hot wallets. And for us, BtcPayServer, it would really be a dream if you do have LSP support, and then merchant just gets node up and running, connects to LSP and says, hey, on my behalf, accept Lightning payments, manage liquidity, do all of that. Because from technical perspective, as you said, there are like different ways. One of the ways that I personally I find really great is you use your LND node to generate the invoice, but then you send that invoice to LSP. LSP wraps it into their invoice that then returns to you, and that's what you display to customer. And then customers are sending funds to LSP, which then get delivered to you. I can't disclose some of the conversations, I get details, but I'm excited, yeah, for future of really like self-custody on Lightning, because you also said in some of these scenarios, you just have signing device, you have keys, and that's how it works.
Yeah, definitely. I think that I think the development on Lightning is somewhat being minimized. And again, right, we can go back to the shitcoin funded and supported media outlets, which to a certain extent minimize Lightning development. Okay. And you also see this weird kind of like hypocritical gaslighting from people like CZ on Binance, who are like, oh, praise to Jack Mallers for pushing Lightning, or praise to this for doing Lightning. So why aren't you putting Lightning? Why aren't you working on Lightning? You've got all these resources. Because he has.
It enables runs on exchanges, Philip.
Yeah, man, this guy has zero incentive. So he's not here for Bitcoin, and this goes back to our whole the whole thing that we say as Bitcoiners, which is Bitcoin exposes everyone's incentives. It doesn't matter whether you're for or against Bitcoin. If you decide to enter this space, Bitcoin will expose your incentives. All right, everyone, that wraps up this episode of Pleb Underground Rockstar Dev. How do people find you? How do they get in touch with you?
So they just search on Google, Twitter, Uncle Rockstar, and the first result will be, my Twitter profile. But from there, they can navigate to NOSTR, and I'll be on NOSTR. It's like iris.to/rockstar, or snort.social/rockstar, or primal.net/rockstar. So yeah. Or you search Uncle Rockstar on Twitter and you can find it. that's kind of like the biggest problem I have. Is it now I'm too popular. I'm like more popular than I deserve. And I don't know, apologies. I didn't plan that. I thought only developers will kind of know me, but yeah,
No,
what can I say now?
us
Easy to
plebs know
find
you
me.
too.
Hey,
Can't hide.
that's the biggest support I kind of have, I must say, and I'm so thankful to everyone
We're
who
gonna
supports
post.
me.
Absolutely, man. We are going to post a link to your, to your contact in the show notes. And guys, don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to check us out on our audio-only platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. If you want to stream us sats, check us out on Fountain.fm. Walton, how does it go?
Fuckshitcoins.com. Like and subscribe.
That's right, everyone. Catch you all on the next episode.